I enjoy dyeing textiles with plants because it's always a surprise. You never know what you're going to get from a plant. The colours that you see in a plant are not necessarily the colour that you're going to get on the fabric. And it's just a privilege to work with nature's beautiful palette. Back in 2012, I read an article in a magazine about how you could turn food waste and plants into colours for textiles. I was intrigued because actually I have formal training as a chef, and the two just seemed to go together. So off I went. I started to create my first dyes. We built the shed studio. Then it seemed only natural then to create my own dye garden. You have to be prepared to accept what nature gives you. So I work with the seasons. Here we've got examples of the plants that I use for dyeing, and they illustrate perfectly the changes that the seasons bring to the dye pot. This is dyed with nettles. This lighter shade here was one of the first dyes of the spring. As we go through, you can see that they're getting darker and darker. The colour I'm getting is certainly darker this year than it has been in previous years, with the drought affecting the way the plants grow. Plants are stressed, and that is evident in the results in the dye pot. So today, it's a really good day because it's nice and warm to be harvesting the indigo. I'm not creating a fermented indigo vat that you would expect your indigo jeans to be dyed with, for instance. This is quite a unique colour, and it's called fresh leaf indigo. And I understand that these can actually be regrown. If you pop them in water, they'll regenerate, so you can plant them again if you'd start it early in the season. So there we are. You can actually see some of the blue coming out on these already. So hopefully it'll be a good strong dye. This is a great example of seasonal dyeing. Got a small window opportunity from about July through to September. So it's one to look forward to in your dyeing year, as it were. It's rather like making pesto. Okay, so that's done. So now it's time to add the fabric. So we pop it in. It doesn't stain your hands too badly, not this one. The longer you leave it, the deeper the tone of colour you'll get. Right, I think that's ready now. So we just gently squeeze it so we don't lose any of our precious dye. And then, to release the blue, we plunge it into cold water. It's changing now, even in the water. And as I lift it out, it's gone from the green to this vibrant turquoise, and as it hits the air, it will continue to develop for about 30 to 40 minutes. It's like magic. People often ask me how I make the dye stick. Well, we use something called mordants, which just means to bite. My most used mordant is actually soy milk made from soybeans. It makes the dye particles adhere to the threads in the fabric. In the middle of the winter, I'd be drawing on barks. And then as we move into the spring, we get first nettles appearing, which are fabulous. I'll be sowing seeds, and then the marigolds will come. As we go into autumn, I'll be using more of the hedgerow brambles and acorns. So it's a constantly evolving year for me. My favourite colours from dye plants are pinks and golds. I had a real surprise when just popping some dahlias into a dye pot. I got a fantastic gold. And I didn't grow them with the intention of dyeing. I grew them just for cutting. But one day I got a lot of heads that had dropped off this polka variety. So now I'm growing them, you know, in abundance really. These will be dried, I can keep them, and the colour variation isn't too great between fresh and dried, so that's wonderful. The other colour I like is the pinks and the corals through to reds that you can get from madder. So it looks quite insignificant, but the colour all lies beneath. We grow madder for the roots. It's a labour of love really, because once you've sown it, it takes at least 3 to 4 years for the roots to mature enough for you to be able to get any dye colour from them. It's quite a juvenile plant really, but look, the roots are coming on. You very, very gently simmer it and you'll get the beautiful, beautiful shades. It's right into scarlet reds. For anybody wishing to start out, just keep it really simple. Get a mixture of annuals, perennials and shrubs, because you'll be able to draw on things throughout the season. And remember, you don't have to have a big space. You can grow things in pots on the patio or even on a kitchen windowsill. When I look back on everything I've done with natural dyes, I can't believe the journey has been so rewarding. To know that I've actually grown the flower that's coloured the textile gives me such a good feeling. And it's just so lovely to be able to talk to other people about it and hopefully inspire them as well.